Joining us this week, a winner of 2 SK Modified features at Stafford and 5 at New London-Waterford Speedbowl. He got his first late model win at Stafford in 2021. His SK Light stats are just as good, with 4 wins at Stafford and 5 at New London-Waterford, including being the Bubby Brower 49 winner in 2018 at Stafford. He became the youngest feature winner in SK Modified and SK Light history. He also joined the 2019 SK Modified Rookie of the Year at the track. And earlier in his career, he raced in INEX Legend cars where he was top 10 national champion. Joining us this week here in our In the Turn interview, we are lucky to have Andrew Molleur. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very fortunate to be on the show with you guys.
Appreciate you coming along. Of course, Chad and Sully couldn't be here this week, but tip of the cap to Chad for coordinating this. So let's jump right into things. First off, for the listeners who might not know who you are, tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got involved, how you got the racing bug.
Yeah, no. So my dad raced motocross, actually, when he was younger, and kept getting kind of beat up and, falling. Obviously, no seatbelt on the dirt bikes there. So got into car racing, had a buddy that raced some pro stocks, as they called them back in the day, and once he retired, he kind of once my dad's buddy retired, he got into racing, and it was off from there. He raced SK Modifieds at the Stafford Motor Speedway, started racing the Whelen Modified Tour and the Busch North Series a little bit in the early 2000s. And once I was born in 2003, he kind of knew at some point someday he's going to want me to try and be a second-generation driver. And shortly thereafter, when I was 3 or 4 years old, started racing the go-kart at a local track, and it was on from there.
Cool. So what do you got on the docket this year? Kind of jump right into 2023 plans.
Yeah, so we're running the full act tour this year, American Canadian Tour, as they call it. Very excited to be a part of that very famous late model touring division up here, kind of in the Northeast. Also run a couple of races up in Canada as well. I've never actually been over the border, so my first time over there is going to be for a race, which is pretty exciting for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. But just looking forward to the American Canadian Tour season. We kind of have a couple of races underway under our belt so far this season with Thunder Road this past weekend, New Hampshire Motor Speedway a few weeks before that, and then Hickory before that as well. So a couple of races already under our belt this season, and we're looking forward to Stafford this Friday, kind of our home track. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
You've obviously got a lot of experience at Stafford, and it seems like now you've got a car with fenders on it as opposed to a mod. So what's the difference kind of been like for you? Switching from the mods over to the ACT Tour?
Yeah, so, the modified stuff, you kind of have to, the guys are really aggressive in the modifieds, of course, but, in the late models, you can kind of lean on someone a little more than in the modified. You kind of have to be conscious of the open wheels in the modified type car. Kind of like in any car, obviously, Formula One, IndyCar guys obviously have to be conscious that they have open wheels and not fenders, but, as like the stock cars, you can kind of lean on someone a little bit and get away with it more than in a modified, whereas it seems like if you try and lean on someone too much in the modified, it really kind of can cause a big wreck for sure. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that. Obviously we have a smaller tire than a modified, so not as much grip, not as big as a motor. We kind of run a Chevy crate motor compared to a built motor, going from 600 horsepower in open wheel modified to, 300 horsepower or so in a late model is definitely a big change for sure, but it's been going well. It's definitely tough. I raced with some of the best guys in New England and really some of the best in the country. So it's been tough, but you know what? Good challenge is always good for sure.
Hey, Andrew, it's Ben here. I was scoping your social media a little bit before the interview, and I found some pictures of you doing some indoor racing. Now, I know it was that on asphalt, correct?
Yeah, we do some of the indoor. It's called the TQ Midget. We run actually inside of like hockey arenas and all that good stuff. So that's always fun to do in the winter. We usually do that around January, February. It's nice to shake the rust off, and kind of in that long, almost 5-6 month break. It's nice to kind of get inside and kind of race a little bit and kind of shake that rust off.
Is that around here? I want to see some of that. That looks really cool.
Yeah, so we ran, it was Atlantic City at the end in New Jersey at the end of January, I believe. They also go to Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I think they go I think that was the only two for this year. I know in the past they've gone to couple other spots. I know they tried to get into Mohegan Sun. They were talking about it back last year, but the problem is with the arenas, they really need to have a good ventilation system, obviously with the fumes.
Yeah, true.
And obviously they want to be able to seat a bunch of people, which I know Mohegan can do that, but the ventilation system is their worry. So hopefully they can work that out, because that would be nice. Then I wouldn't have to go so far to the races, and I know that would probably work out good for you guys too.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about this season. Obviously you're 3 races in. What does the schedule for the ACT Tour look like for somebody who might not follow the series too closely? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we started the year off in Hickory with a non-points race, so that's kind of out of the range for most of the ACT Tour guys. A lot of the ACT Tour guys are really up in kind of the New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine area. There's not too many Connecticut drivers that are kind of part of the tour, so I'm kind of one of the few Connecticut guys that are running the tour this year. But so Hickory was a non-points race, kind of just to get the season started, and then we went off to Loudon for the first points race of the year. Kind of a wild card race, it's a mile track, totally big, double the size of pretty much any other track that we're going to go to for the most part. So obviously that was a fun race. We struggled a little bit, but that was a fun race. And then we go to Thunder Road a couple of times this year, which is like a quarter-mile bull ring. So you go from Hickory, which is a bumpy, worn-out surface, kind of a little bit bigger than a quarter mile, to a mile track. Obviously a cup racetrack, which is very smooth and all that stuff. And then you go to a little bull ring like Thunder Road, which has got like 20-degree banking, and you fly around the place. You run like 13-second laps around there. So. And then a couple other tracks. We go to our Waterford Speedbowl, Stafford Motor Speedway. We'll go to White Mountain, which I've never been to before. A couple of Canadian tracks up in Canada, which I've never really seen before, so I'm looking forward to that. Then we'll go to Oxford Plains, home of the Oxford 250, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So lots of different types of tracks, so it's going to be important to make sure I kind of get on iRacing and kind of run some laps around these tracks and get as many laps as I can before we go.
Is iRacing a realistic practice for you on off weekends or throughout the week?
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of the guys up in kind of the top 3 series of NASCAR will say that it's not the greatest tool, but however, for me, being able to just turn laps around the track, I feel like iRacing is a great tool in that aspect, right? Kind of just run your laps and kind of log, kind of know, even it kind of sounds dumb, but it's almost like even just knowing where to enter onto the track off, where the pit area is and how to enter the racetrack and just stuff like that, stupid stuff like that. Then you don't have to worry about that when you get to the track and, go around and try and find out, do we go out this entrance? Where do, all that stuff is so important, even just so important just for your mental state for the weekend. So,
sure.
But just running laps, kind of running the iRacing AI, they've done such a great job making the AI as good as possible on iRacing. So unfortunately, not all the tracks on the ACT Tour this year are on iRacing, but that's where we switch over to NR 2003 and we try and run some laps on there as well.
Talk to us a little bit about your early success over at Stafford and in the SK Lights. I mean, it's obviously nice to talk about what's going on now, but you want to kind of highlight some of the successes that you've had. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, going back even before that, I raced Quarter Midgets kind of nationally, and we traveled around a lot and ended up winning a national championship with USAC. And then going from there, it's from a go-kart, you kind of have to make that step, and we ended up going into a legend car. And I really struggled really bad in legend cars, to be honest with you. It was a tough learning curve for me. Lots of horsepower, treaded tires, light, very light race car. Really have to work it and work the car a lot. And a lot of people say if you can drive a legend car, you can pretty much drive anything. And that kind of worried me a little bit because I struggled. I only won one race actually in a legend car, and kind of. You'd go home and be like, damn, is this really for me? Is this racing stuff for me, or do I need to find something else? And fortunately, I was able to move into an SK Light modified, and became the youngest winner over at the Speedbowl, an SK Light modified. So kind of after that, it was kind of like a resurrection of my career a little bit because the legend car stuff just didn't really go too well for us, unfortunately. But the modified stuff really kind of helped take off my career after the legend car stuff for sure.
Throughout even if through the struggles of the legend cars, would you say that it made you a better driver today, having to go through a tough experience on the track, or maybe a struggle that you haven't found before?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember our first, I think I was 12 or 13 years old. We had a 50-lap race at our local track, and I was just, to be honest, I kind of was out there, and I was struggling to physically, stay on the track for 50 laps. I was just like, man, I had to pull off. I was just so tired. As a little kid, I was just like, damn, it was tough for me. But, after that, I kind of was like, we need to start kind of eating better and, working out more and kind of, making sure that I'm able to finish all these races. And now I look forward to longer races, especially with the ACT Tour, right? We run 150, 200 laps at some of these tracks. So it's important to stay hydrated and, kind of staying in shape and making sure that you're physically fit to go out there and win races. So, definitely.
Talk to us a little bit about, first off, locally, who are some of the guys you kind of lean on for advice and have learned from as you've climbed your way up the ladder locally, whether it be the SK Modifieds or now in the ACT Tour? Who are some of the names that, have helped you advance?
Yeah. In the modified, the Keith Rocco was a big one for sure. I don't know if you guys know Keith.
Absolutely do.
Hopefully you do.
Yeah.
But he's a big part of, obviously, New England racing. He's won pretty much just about everything there is in modified racing. So we kind of worked with him the last couple of years, and he's really taught me a lot. He's he's definitely helped me grow some thick skin for sure. He likes to break balls and have fun. So that's nice to have someone like that. But he's when it comes down to the race, very serious, locked in, and wants to do well, wants to win races, and that's all he cares about. So he's been a big influence on my racing career for sure, and I really appreciate everything that he's done. Right now in the late model stuff, my car owner Jason Glaud, he been around the late model scene pretty much most of his life in racing. His past driver Ryan Morgan has been a big part as well, kind of helping out and helping me get to where I'm at right now. So, other than that, Rob Russell over at Stafford, the late model that I drove over there, another big part of my Fender racing career. He kind of helped take off my love for Fender racing and gave me a chance in a Fender race car and kind of, took a modified guy and kind of was like, hey, come drive my late model for me and let's go win some races. And I'm really appreciative of his opportunity that he gave me. I'll definitely, as far as my career goes, I'll never forget that he gave me that opportunity to drive his car, and very appreciative of what he's done to help my racing career.
Now, maybe bigger picture down the road, wherever the roads lead you, who are some of the guys you see on TV week to week that might be, an influence or somebody who inspires you?
Yeah, no, for sure. Ryan Preece is one of them for sure. I work for racechoice.com, and they're kind of helping them out, giving them some sponsorship money this year. So to be able to see him go out there and, obviously he's got some struggles, right? It kind of comes with everything. I mean, there are going to be guys that go through struggles, but I'm glad to see him in an opportunity with Stewart Haas Racing, and it's cool to see him out there for sure. Obviously him being a local guy, I've raced SK Modifieds against him many, many times. I raced Open Modifieds against him before. So to be able to see him out there on Sundays, everybody locally, right? I mean, everyone's dream is to go and race on Sundays, of course, right? I mean, that's what people want to do, That's why some people get into racing is their goal at the end of it is to race on Sundays. Cool to see him out there. Obviously, Joey Logano, another local guy as well. One person I will say that is I'm a big supporter of and I've always kind of thought highly of is Kevin Harvick. He supported our Stafford Motor Speedway after Ted Christopher's passing and gave some contingency money over there. And his love for short track racing is huge, and I really appreciate that of him. I know he's kind of retiring this year, but it's cool to see him, with the Cars Tour and everything that they're doing down south there. So very appreciative of him and everything that he's done for our local short track racing for sure.
I know life is a day-by-day experience, but do you have a next step in mind after the ACT Tour? I know you're a young kid, and you clearly got the mindset to go far with this race and stuff, so do you have anything that you genuinely think is the next step for you?
Yeah, well, the good thing about, the late model stuff, we're kind of partnered up with Port City Racing. Right now it's a chassis that we run in our late model, and they have a northern kind of Port City and a southern Port City. So it'd be nice to maybe try and get down and kind of maybe run the Snowflake maybe at some point over in Pensacola and see if we can make something of ourselves down there. That's kind of seems like that's kind of where the some of the doors can open up if you can do well down there. So would be nice to try and get down there and see if we can do something like that. But obviously, getting down south is important. That's where everything really is. But I'm pretty happy where I'm at the moment. I want to just kind of perfect my craft and do as well as I can in the series that I run, and just pretty much take any opportunity that I can get. I just want to, like I said, I want to race on Sundays at the end of the day. That's why I'm into this racing, and that's what I want to do. So whatever it takes to get there, I'm going to do it. And that's how I feel, and I'm hopeful that someday I can make it.
Absolutely. Andrew Molleur is joining us here in our In the Turn interview this week, sponsored by Best Cleaning Services. And, of course, probably one of the most important questions for any driver. Talk to us a little bit about some of the folks you have on your car this year, and maybe your social media channels, so people can learn more about you, get in touch with you if they want to help you out. All of that happy stuff that we got to do as people in the motorsports community to cover our costs and cover the car costs, cover the radio costs, all that type of thing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So Call Before You Dig has been huge. They've helped us out last few years. They got our trailer wrapped for us. They've bought me a few fire suits, and they've given us plenty of help throughout the last couple of years. So I'm very appreciative of what they've done for me. CBYE 811, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you have seen them around. They're very, very important to my racing career, and they've been a big part of it the last few years. Bud's Truck and Diesel Service has been another big part as well. So I'm very appreciative of them. Obviously my car owner, Jason Glaude, for giving us the opportunity this upcoming year to run his 31-act late model has been huge. I'm very appreciative of that for sure as well. Obviously we have my dad and my crew guy, Tom and Joe, just everyone that helps out with us on our race car. I mean, there's a huge list of people for sure. Racechoice.com, Stormies, Greens Construction, FK Rod Ends, Air Gas, Jensen Tire. I mean, the list goes on. Brooklyn's Country Club and Driving Range, A&D Tree Service. I mean, the list just goes on and on. There's so many people that help us out. G-Pick Construction. So many people that help us out, obviously, but very thankful for them and what they've been able to do for my racing career. I couldn't really do it without them, to be honest with you. So I'm very thankful for them.
Next race on the docket for you?
So next race is going to be this Friday with the ACT Tour. So that's going to be at Stafford Motor Speedway. And it's kind of a home track for me, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm pretty excited about it. But I actually have a question for you guys. I know you guys talk a lot about NASCAR, and I definitely wanted to ask you guys what you guys think about the Noah Gragson-Ross Chastain incident this past weekend.
I like the tables. I like the tables being turned here. I think we kind of started to get into it. My personal opinion, I said it just before you called in. As a Noah fan, I think Noah had room. I think his complaint was kind of a moot point. I don't think Chastain was in the wrong, but Ben, what were your thoughts?
I mean, so many things have came to happen to get to this point that it seems so inevitable. Maybe if we didn't think it'd be Noah Gragson, but I mean, as a fan, swing all day, baby. I want to see some punches thrown at the end of the day.
Yeah, as a fan, I mean, you got to enjoy the old school mentality. I guess is it brings you back a little bit as a longtime fan. How about you, Andrew?
I mean, do we have ourselves a new Intimidator on our hands here? I mean, it seems like Ross Chastain, everyone seems like they're a little bit afraid of him on the track.
Good take, Andrew. Good take.
I agree.
Props to him for standing up for himself, But yeah, I'm sitting here in this room. I see a Dale Earnhardt Sr. clock in front of me, and it just makes me think, you know what? Ross Chastain in that one car, I think when people see him in that rearview mirror, they're like, damn, I'm kind of a little nervous here. This guy might take me out.
I think you're 100% right.
Absolutely.
So, Andrew Molleur, our guest here this week on our In the Turn interview. You want to find him on Facebook. It's Andrew Molleur Racing. Looking forward to catching you at the track soon enough.